I'm Nick Flores of Evil Twin NYC, and this is the Brewer to Brewer podcast from All About Beer. My guest is Bobby Sciacca of Sound and Fury, and he is here for a conversation that goes beyond the brewhouse and into topics that matter to brewing professionals and curious beer drinkers. First, please visit allaboutbeer.com and follow on social media at allaboutbeer. And to support journalism in the beer space, check out allaboutbeer.com/support. We'll get into this conversation in just a moment, but first this message.
If you were at CBC in Philadelphia, hopefully you stopped by the Senos booth or ran into them at their sponsored events around Philly. For everyone who missed it, Senos announced their latest hardware innovations. Senos is the world's first complete solution for data-driven fermentation management. Real-time, predictive insights directly from your tanks, within reach for every brewery. Catch issues early, save batches, and grow your margins. Brew smarter at senos.com. That's SENNOS.com.
Hi, this is Tim Shasha from Berkeley Yeast. Our mission is to give brewers better tools that are affordable and easy to use. Our team has been developing Tropics yeast for nearly 10 years, and we just launched it in a dried format. This is a yeast strain with high thiol biotransformation activity, which means it's great for making tropical forward hazy IPAs. I'll tell you more about how it works later in the show, or you can check the show notes for our recent article called All About Thiols.
Malteurop has long been a pillar of North American malting, and they're growing to meet the needs of the modern brewer. Their brand new warehouse expansion at the Winona, Minnesota Malt House marks a new chapter in their commitment to service and reliability. With increased capacity and optimized logistics at the Winona hub, Malteurop is delivering the quality you expect with the speed you need. Discover the Malteurop difference at malteuropmaltingco.com.
Welcome, and I'm very pleased to have Bobby Sciacca today as my guest today. What's up, Bobby?
Hello, Nick. How are you?
Doing good. Real quick, Bobby is the head brewer at Sound and Fury Brewing in downtown Brooklyn. He's previously worked as a brewer at the Bronx Brewery and a cellarman at Sound and City Brewing.
Sand City.
Sand City. A lot of S's.
Yeah.
What's up, Bobby? How's it going?
I'm good. How are you, Nick?
I'm good. Just working, making money, you know?
Yeah, I feel you.
How was your day today? You brewed?
No, I don't ever brew on Mondays. Monday's kind of more of a cellaring day. Just transferred 2 beers, cleaned a tank, cleaned some draft lines, milled in for tomorrow. You know.
How long you been at Sound and Fury now?
It'll be 2 years at the end of June. So yeah, almost 2 years.
And then when did we work at Bronx Brewery together? That had to be like...
I was there for like just about a year. I think that was from June to June. So June 23 to June 24.
Damn, that's funny. I remember I think you were one of the first new brewers that I ever worked with, or like first new brewer to me, because was still green in the industry and stuff like that, and I had worked with the people that taught me and everything like that. So like I think at that time I haven't worked with anyone else, and I'm happy I got to work with you because I learned a lot from you. You're hella smart. I love talking to you about beer.
Thank you, Nick.
I feel like I don't know, it's hard to talk about beer, but like when I talk about it with you, you're always asking like questions about how people made this beer, how do that, and then like, you know, I don't know, you're a very fun person to talk to about beer.
Thanks. Yeah,
you have a lot of knowledge.
I like talking beer. I like trying to break things down, and I don't know. It's always just fun to try other people's beers and ask them what they did and why they did it differently than you, I guess. And I don't know.
I guess I want to start off with just like, you know, because everyone has a different story about how they get into beer, you know, like I've been in this industry for like 2-3 years now, and I feel like I hear everything. And maybe you came from home brewing, or maybe you just, you know, started on a packaging line or something. Like there's so many different stories of like everyone starting. Like how did you get your start in brewing?
I was home brewing at first, and then whenever I would go upstate to visit my girlfriend, her neighbor was a brewer at a brewery up there, and we just became friends one day. And he kind of helped me start home brewing, and then also from there he was like, "Yeah, if you want to come hang out at the brewery one day, just come hang out on the canning line." So I started doing that, going on the canning line. Went for brew days. They had me like dry hop tanks, and they showed me how to clean kegs and clean a tank. Um, so yeah, I was looking for a job for a while, and then finally got the call from Sand City. My friend became the head brewer there. I want to say like 4 months before I started working there. So he knew that I was looking, and he was like, "Yeah, we're looking for a cellar guy." He's like, "I'll teach you everything." It was pretty straightforward. So yeah,
Yeah.
home brewing, I feel like wasn't as deep into home brewing as like a lot of the people on the podcast who've like
Mhm.
started breweries that I've listened to are like, yeah, I was brewing 4 times a week. It's like that's awesome. I wish I had the
Mhm.
space and the will to do that. I probably homebrewed 25 times. And I feel like
More than me.
the hoppy beers were never good. We got into saisons
Mhm.
because I think they're the most forgiving homebrew beers to make. It's the
Makes
only time I've
sense.
really used real fruit in a beer, other than at Sand City we did, other than like purees. But like, yeah, no,
Mhm.
we used whole peaches and threw it into a keg, and I think I still have bottles of that somewhere. It was actually not bad. I just wish that I filtered that a little bit better now. Looking back at all the things I did now, I'm like, oh yeah, that's it would have been so easy to just do that. But it's sometimes more fun to just do something when you don't know what you're doing. You're like, yeah, it'll be fine. If it's bad, then I'll just dump it. Whereas now you're like, I don't want to dump anything. It's so much. There's so much pressure.
Mhm. You worked at how many breweries you worked at now?
This is the third brewery that I've been at.
The third brewery.
Yep.
And you come from like all different sizes, right? I mean, like how big was before Bronx? Why am I Sand City?
Yeah,
The
Sand
S's.
City, they had, I think it was a 20 barrel in Lindenhurst and a 10 barrel in Northport. I never brewed on the 20 barrel.
Mhm.
That was a pneumatic system, which I'm actually brewing on now, which they're pretty nice, and that one was like brand new, so I'm sure brewing on that is was a treat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just cellaring there and canning and stuff, so I was just cleaning tanks all the time. And then I would brew in Northport every once in a while with the owner, Kevin, and I would go up there to brew. I don't know, I want to say I probably brewed 6 beers up there. So that was when I went to the Bronx. Manny was like, "How comfortable are you brewing?" I was like, I'm okay. I can think I've done it." Um, but yeah, so it was a 20 barrel and a 10 barrel. Most of the production was in Lindenhurst. There were 4 60 barrel tanks, initially 3 20 barrel tanks, one 60 barrel bright. And then during my time there, we brought down 2 20 barrel fermenters from Northport. So I think that's 5 total. So yeah,
Yeah.
520s, 460s, and then one bright that we didn't really use too much. They weren't doing too much lager when I was there. I think they've been increasing that more now. Um, but yeah, that's the only brewery that I've worked at that was unitanking stuff. So like
Oh,
going from
yeah.
there to Bronx when I was like, oh, we got a centrifuge and we're like everything goes in the bright. That was a really weird thing for me to get into. And then now everything that I do goes through a bright too with like I don't filter
Mhm.
anything. I don't It's just time and fining, and then just transferring with a hose, and that's hose and CO2, and it's really it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there are definitely some things now where I'm like, how did we ever do this in a unitank? Like it's so hard to get like an actual clear beer out of a unitank. Like I did a transfer
Mhm.
today for a beer that's been cold for almost 2 weeks, and it might have been chill haze, I'm not sure, but I was like, this has been cold for a while, and it's like it's still not as clear as I'd like it to be. But like if this was in a brewery that's like a production brewery that we're unit taking everything and then like we're canning this that day, that's not going to be as bright as I want it to be.
Yeah.
And I think are you unit taking stuff or are you transferring everything?
We transfer everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So I when I was going to Bronx, I was like, wow, that's so weird. Like I don't want. I'm scared to put to transfer my IPAs into a freshly clean bright. Like, what if it's not purged enough? And now I'm just like, I've done it enough times, and if I keep doing what I'm doing, it'll be fine. Because knock on wood, I've had no problems so far with any sort of oxygen issues. So watch tomorrow, I'm gonna be like, oh man, my beer's brown now.
Maybe you're.
But
Oh
yeah,
man.
so yes, a long-winded answer is yeah, I was at Sand City before. Sand City was a 10 and a 20. I only brewed on the 10 a couple of
Yeah.
times. And then Bronx was a 25 barrel, three vessel. That's the only three vessel system that I brewed on, which I loved brewing on that system, man. Like it had its problems at the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw all the pump failures and
Hmm.
yeah, we went through a lot on that system, but I think like a couple months into XT being there, we nailed everything down, and I was ripping doubles. Like I knew the second that I could start mashing in for the next beer, and that was awesome.
Yeah, during that time when it was y'all two with XT and stuff, you guys were like dishing out brews, like, and it looked clean, like, you know what I mean? Like every single one of you who were up there, XT was a really dope head brewer.
Yeah, they were. I wish we had more time brewing together. I learned so much from them in like the 5 months we were together. But yeah, that was just like that was the kind of head brewer where you're just like, I have this idea, and they're like, all right, let's talk about it. Um, so that was really cool, especially after all that we had gone through at the Bronx prior to that.
Ugh,
Um,
yeah,
so yeah, yeah, no, that was Bronx was I think I'm sure you could say the same thing. Working at that brewery kind of set me up for like for success for anywhere that I go.
I,
I
I
think
agree.
if it wasn't for the Bronx, I don't think I'd feel as comfortable as I am on the brew deck now. Just having to like not mindlessly because like obviously you're thinking about what you're doing, but just like
Yeah.
confidently and comfortably go through as many brews as we did a week there. Like I'm
Mhm.
brewing, I think I brewed like in 4 weeks there what I'm brewing in a year at my new spot. So like yeah, just
Yeah.
be doing those doubles and triples. It's just like, all right, yeah,
Mhm.
like oh, I'm brewing one 7 barrel batch today. Like, yeah, it's all right, cool. Sounds great.
Yeah, they worked this hard over there.
Yeah, but I mean,
um,
it's production brewing, man. That's what it
yeah.
is.
So now, as lead brewer at Sound and Fury, getting it right, you're pretty much the only one there, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's just me.
So you're doing everything.
Yeah. There was yeah, I think at some point the brewer before me, Mike, had an assistant, and then that person, I think they were from like Australia or something. He was like, "Yeah, that guy was great," and then he went back home, and then I just never found the right person again. I was like, "Okay, I am
Uh,
scared to find the wrong person." So I've never, it's never really been busy enough for me to be like, I should get an assistant here. Like, sure, there are some weeks where it'd be nice to have someone that could like flip a tank while I'm brewing or like clean some
mhm.
kegs while I'm doing some other stuff, but it's mostly manageable, especially with like just building out a schedule that I've been pretty consistent with my schedule since I've started of just like the days that I brew, the days that I transfer, the days that new beers come on. Like I try and keep it to like a consistent rhythm. I mean, obviously it's a brew pub, so
Yeah.
things are never it's not production like it's not a production facility, so I'm not like really stuck to a schedule. And also like since it's a brew pub that I have serving brights there, things kind of like things in the brights can kind of kick whenever, and then I have to change my plans to like put a new beer in that bright. It's not just like, oh yeah, I'll just throw a new keg
Yeah.
on. It's like, no, I have to
Yeah.
like do all it's like a like 5 hours work to like get a new beer in that bright instead of being like, oh yeah, I'll just throw a keg on. So that's kind of helped me shape my schedule a bit. And there's never too much pressure on like getting something in there immediately. Like obviously we have
Right. Okay.
three of our four core beers in brights, so like it does kind of suck if it's like, oh, this one's going to be out of the bright for like 3 4 days while like I have other things to do and then I'll get it in, or if it's like, oh, I brewed this one a little too late and now it's just kind of finishing out now. Yeah, yeah. I try to keep it to a schedule, but it doesn't always work out like that. Which I mean, that's brewing, man. That's
Yeah.
it. If a beer takes a little longer to ferment, if you want to give something an extra day, if a beer that you thought was going to kick yesterday is going to kick tomorrow instead now, that could mess up your entire week. So yeah, it's just kind of about having flexibility and being open to like, oh, well, I guess today I'll do this instead of this. And like my whole plan was this, but it'll work out in the end. So yeah.
Do you have any beers that you really like to make over there that you or anything you work
Um,
on that's like
yeah, I mean,
gets you
I
going?
this is the first brewery that I've had access to step mashing at.
Okay.
Because I have a steam. So I guess I'll talk through the system now. It's a two vessel steam 7 barrel American beer ABE brew house. So I got steam in the mash tun and steam in the kettle. So yeah, I can step beers in the mash, which is cool. Bronx didn't have that, San City didn't have that. So now I'm trying to like learn from myself and like looking online and Reddit and talking to people of like, oh, like what should I do for this beer? What should I do for this beer? Um, so like yeah, just kind of playing around with stepping beers different ways, and like expanding that knowledge has been really cool. It was something that I was really scared of doing at first because I was like, oh, but I've only ever single infused, but I'll give it a shot, I guess. And then it worked out and I was like, oh, I can like actually control these parameters and like if I do this instead of this, then the beer will do this instead. And that's kind of been cool to like make these beers feel unique in their own way, which I'm sure everybody's doing that, so I'm not special, but it's new for me, so it's been fun to learn that myself. And that's kind of like the weird thing about working alone and not having a head brewer. This is my first head brewing position, so like I've always worked under other people that have had knowledge and the answers to the questions, or at least like
Hmm.
a better guess how to do something because they have more experience. So now it's kind of just about me trying to figure that out for myself, and it's not really like trial and error because I don't think I'm doing anything so insane that there's like error.
Yeah.
But it's definitely taken me a while to like get out of my comfort zone with some beers and like start to try things that if I was working under someone else, it's something we would have implemented like months prior. But now because it's just me, I'm like, let me do some more research. Let me talk to some more people and like
Yeah.
keep twiddling my thumbs around this until I actually decide to do it. But yeah, it's been fun to try and step some more beers and see how those are working out, especially for beers that have the same yeast and like
Yeah.
relatively similar grain bills. And then you're like, oh, this beer did this versus this beer doing this. Um, so yeah, that's been fun. This is also the first brewery that I've been cooling down my whirlpool for IPAs and hoppy beers, so that's also been a fun learning thing. Um, I just kind of have to rig my little system to run through my heat exchanger and back into the top of the kettle with my knockout hose, which I don't know, could be picking up some extra hot side aeration, but I've never tasted anything weird, and I've had friends who have done it. They're like, yeah, no, that's the way to do it. Like I can't really get it hard piped in the way that the system is built, especially with it being 5 feet behind the bar. Like I can't really take anything apart and rig something together that if it goes wrong, then I'm just gonna burn customers and
Yeah.
bartenders. But
Is
yeah,
is there
so what's up?
uh, no, that's awesome. Is there a lot of opportunities over there where you're brewing and there's customers, or because I know that space
Um,
is so close to each other, right?
I really try to not be brewing when people are there just because like the space is so it's not a small space, but how close the people at the bar are sitting to the brew house is like it kind of scares me. Just I don't know. I don't want something to go wrong and have customers be around or just it also makes the space kind of like hot. So I think it's just mostly an unpleasant drinking experience if you're in there while
Hmm.
I'm brewing. So yeah, I'm only brewing like pretty early in the day, and usually not. We open at 3 o'clock Monday to Thursday, and I only really brew Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. Um, and I'm for the most part I'm knocking out around, depending on the beer, 1 to 2:30. So people are there when I'm like cleaning up, when I'm like
Okay, that's not
in the
bad.
heat exchanger and everything.
Yeah.
So like they're still seeing me do stuff. They don't necessarily know what it is, and I'm not sure if it really like matters. Like, I don't know, I guess if they wanted to see me throw in hops, they'd be like, "Oh, what's he doing?" But instead, I'm just like going up and down the stairs and turning on pumps and opening valves and stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it'd be a great experience for people to be in there while I'm brewing, for me or for them. Maybe more for them than for me. And I'm sure the bartenders would agree, because then like there's a lot less hot water floating around and just like trube that I'm dumping down the drain, and yeah, it's messy. It's a messy space back there. I think they don't want to be stepping over hoses while making cocktails and pouring beers and stuff.
I thought bartenders love brewery hoses and stuff like that.
Yeah, they love when there's just a giant garbage can in their way that I'm filling with grain.
Is graining out over there hard?
No, it's fine. We don't have a farmer or anything, so it kind of just goes with our regular garbage. I have really, really big garbage bags that I put in our dumpsters, and I just go to the kitchen, wheel out a dumpster, bring it over. It fits like perfectly under the mash tun manway or whatever side door.
Hmm.
And yeah, there's a little slide down that goes right into it, and like 95% of the beers that I brew fit in those. I've done a couple of beers that have been a little bit bigger with bigger grain bills that I have to like scoop some on top after. Like it'll go on the floor and then I'll just have to scoop it on top, or I'll just have to get a second one or a smaller garbage bag or something. But yeah, like most of the beers that I'm brewing that are between 6 and 7.5%, depending on what they are, fit in one of those, so it's not so bad.
Nice. Um,
How's it by you? Are you filling several bins, or what's your guys' grain out deal?
we have kind of those rolly garbage cans, the ones you like tilt back and push to the curb.
Yeah. Okay.
We fill up like about, I don't know, maybe like 9 of them
Damn.
for
Okay.
like, it's not too bad.
Yeah. So mashing out for you, you got those garbage bags. It's about or garbage bins. It's about 9 of them that you just roll out to the curb.
Yeah, it's not too bad at all. Like, I mean, we do have people complaining about the smell because we do live
Yeah,
in a
it's
residential block.
pretty residential over there.
So when I first started over there, like I was outside and like this lady was like, "Can you do something about the smell?" And I was like, "I don't know what to tell you. Like,
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
gonna get picked up tonight." Like,
at least the Bronx was kind of secluded like that. It's you knew when you were walking down that block, you were like, oh, there's grain outside tonight. Like you
yeah,
you could tell there. The the funniest grain out, the Sand City and Northport grain out was hysterical. It was so 10 barrels. We're doing, I guess, probably what 400, 500 pounds of grain for most of the beers we're brewing there.
mhm,
I think we were filling 7, 8 garbage bags, garbage bins, same thing as you. I think
yeah,
there's like the gray garbage
yeah,
bins
yeah.
throwing bags inside. But then
Hmm.
what they would do there is they had a pickup truck that one of the taproom guys would drive around, and he would pull up, he'd back up to the curb, and then you would spend time like tying the bags and then lifting the garbage bins up into the
Oh
back of that
god,
pickup truck, which that kind of sucked because those, when they're wet grain, those each weigh like 100 something
yeah,
pounds. So then you're doing that, and then they would drive down to like the dump by the beach and then back up to one of those garbage, the big like garbage collectors, and then you would hop them in the side of the truck and then just tilt those out into the garbage. It was insane.
uh-uh,
Yeah, those are some fun mash outs. So that was my like introduction to well, the Northport one was great. We had big totes that I think double IPAs would fill two of them, and then like a Pilsner or single IPA would fill like one and a half, and then had a big what is it? What are they called? Like the big garbage when people are like knocking down their houses, they have those things out in the
Oh yeah,
streets.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, yeah, just a giant bin in the back that someone would come pick up every
Mm-hmm.
couple of weeks. Yeah, we would just dump those with the forklift into there. So that was pretty nice. But yeah, doing the Northport one, it was pretty insane. And then Bronx was just, yep, we just roll these over and then they get thrown out. That was honestly the best one. Just forklift those
Yeah,
over, fill one up, take it out, fill another one up, take it out, just all while driving. You're just like, yeah, this is awesome.
yeah. Anything I can do for forklift,
I
I
miss my
miss. Yeah,
forklift.
yeah. I have a really shitty forklift at Evil
Mm,
Twin, and it's the bane of my existence.
yeah.
I think it took me like 2 hours to bring like 3 pallets of grain inside.
Oh man,
It's
that's
really
rough.
bad. It's really bad.
Yeah, I mean, again, back to the Bronx, getting you ready for anything.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I was a pretty good forklift operator when I was at Sand City, but then going to the Bronx and doing everything we had to do there, I was like, oh, I'm learning a lot here.
Yeah, the Bronx definitely on that forklift put us in our uncomfortable zones, like those little corners, and then driving with all the kegs and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, no, they
Some
they
tight corners, you know.
stack those kegs high, stack that grain on top of each other. They utilized a lot of space and it made you a much better forklift driver. So,
Yeah.
it's cool.
We're going to take a short break for this message, and then come right back for more of this conversation with Bobby of Sound and Fury.
If you were at CBC in Philadelphia, hopefully you stopped by the Senos booth or ran into them at their sponsored events around Philly. For everyone who missed it, Senos announced their latest hardware innovations. Senos is the world's first complete solution for data-driven fermentation management. Real-time, predictive insights directly from your tanks, within reach for every brewery. Catch issues early, save batches, and grow your margins. Brew smarter at senos.com. That's SENNOS.com.
Tim here again from Berkeley Yeast. Our Tropics yeast is based on a London ale strain, but we added a new gene to its genome that codes for a unique thiol-releasing enzyme. The enzyme converts the precursors in barley to free thiols that smell and taste like passionfruit and grapefruit. It's super clean. No off flavors like burnt rubber or other sulfurous notes, just tropical aromatics. You don't have to do anything unusual either, like mash hopping. Just pitch dry Tropics and supercharge your hazy IPA.
Malt Europe has long been a pillar of North American malting, and they're growing to meet the needs of the modern brewer. Their brand new warehouse expansion at the Winona, Minnesota Malt House marks a new chapter in their commitment to service and reliability. With increased capacity and optimized logistics at the Winona hub, Malt Europe is delivering the quality you expect with the speed you need. Discover the Malt Europe difference at malteuropemaltingco.com.
And welcome back. Uh, so, Bobby, I think I just have a few more questions. You know, we got a first part of the show. We talked about, you know, your origins, working at Bronx, and now at Sound and Fury and everything. Um, Let me see. I think I have a few questions I want to ask about your opinion on New York City beer. You know, like and beer in general too. Like I feel like I read all these things about, like, you know, the industry is not doing good, the costs of everything are like too high. Um, you know, seltzer's taking over now. They have all these THC drinks and everything like that coming in, which you know, it's crazy to think about um all these different things now that are like in the market. I remember, you know, you really only get malt liquor and beer, and now they have all these beat boxes and everything like that. Um, do you still buy beer in stores?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. Do you think beer's gonna come back? Do you think people are gonna start drinking beer again?
Yeah, I mean,
Have you
I don't
noticed it?
uh I don't know. I feel like yeah, everyone's like, oh, the younger generations aren't drinking as much and people are starting to dial back, but I don't know. I feel like I'm seeing a lot of people still doing a lot in the beer world, and I'm seeing like we're still seeing people drinking beer. Like we're going through more beer than ever, I think.
Hmm.
So as far as like in my scope of things, I don't see that being a thing. I think maybe the numbers that everyone's seeing online and that people are always trying to like put up with, I don't know, clickbait ads or something of like beer is done or whatever it is.
Hmm.
I don't know. I think it's kind of just showing that from a super oversaturated market, and now it's like, yes, maybe there was a point where beer and craft beer distribution got too big, and
Hmm.
now it's like realizing itself and figuring itself out and going back to a level of like, okay, that was the boom, and now we're getting to like what the reality actually is. And I think there's going to be like some sort of readjustment to the new reality of that. But I don't think that means that like beer is going away and that people aren't drinking beer anymore. Like, I don't know, I can't cite anything, but I feel like every time I see stuff, it's like, okay, no, there's still like there are brands that still are having growth. And like whether it's athletic or whether it's like something that is also in this world, it's still like that is still in the world of beer. Um,
Yeah.
but no, I don't know. I think that yeah, it just kind of hit this point of oversaturation in the marketplace, and also like from a price point, it kind of got too expensive for the breweries to put their beer out there for the price that they had to do it in order for it to make sense. So now a lot of people
Hmm.
are adjusting to maybe not do that as much. So yeah, I don't know. I think for me, it's always been about from like going to the place and getting it from the source. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I buy beer in the grocery store out of convenience, but like my preference is always and I've been in the industry for 4.5 years, and I feel like I still haven't gotten over like going to the places that I like to go. It's like, yeah, every time I drive upstate, I'm gonna go to Suarez Family. Like
Hmm.
every couple of months, I'm gonna go out of my way and go to Kennedy to go to Fox Farm because like I care, and I know that there are a lot of
Yeah.
people like me who care. Um, so yeah, I think maybe what we're seeing and what like articles online are trying to make the narrative is that beer is dying, but I think it's kind of just adjusting to that new reality of what craft beer actually is and will be in this period of post big boom like craft industry. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah. I just want to say, I was just saying I agree with you on like, I don't think the craft beer industry is going anywhere. I've also been seeing like a lot of things happening internationally in like China and Japan. Craft beer over there is just getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, no, when I was in Japan last year and I saw a lot of that. I went to some beer bar. I think it was maybe in Osaka or Nagoya, and I had seen other breweries from here go over there and have like takeovers there,
Yeah.
and their fridge was it was crazy, man. It was stuff that you can't find over here from like a bunch of cool breweries from the West Coast, like from California and Oregon. They were selling it for a lot because I'm sure it cost them a lot
Oh.
to get
Mm-hmm.
it. So it makes sense. But yeah, man, the people over there that drink beer like love American craft beer, and like I think that is a sign of how things are. Like people are still like new to this whole craft beer thing.
Yeah.
So it's not I don't see it really going anywhere. Like, yeah, maybe the people that like went really hard for a couple of years are leaving, but that doesn't mean that it's like done. But yeah, I mean, you could definitely speak more on the international bit than me. I haven't really done anything with that. When I was at Sand City, we sent some stuff to like Copenhagen, I think. But other than that, I haven't really done much with that. I mean, Bronx actually had a pretty big distribution. Was it also Copenhagen or Denmark or something?
Yeah, I think we sent some stuff to Denmark. We definitely did one to Mexico once at the Bronx. Uh Can't think of anything
Yeah,
else.
Copenhagen's Denmark. But yeah, like Evil Twin, you guys are sending beer all over the world, so
Yeah. Our yep is man with connections, I guess. We're sending stuff to China almost every other week, like Mexico, Denmark, Japan. We just sent a bunch of bottles to Japan, and he's over there in Japan, living it up of a tap takeover. International, they're loving craft beer.
yeah, I
I
think
don't.
there was a seminar at CBC that was focused on importing and exporting beer, which I mean I would have been great to sit on, but it doesn't really affect my life, so
Mhm.
I did not go to that. But yeah, I do think a lot more places are starting to get into that market just to like, I don't know, move more beer and find new markets and yeah, it's just a way to expand just beer, I guess.
Nice. I think I have two more questions for you, Bobby, and I think we can call this one a good one. Um, do you have any like brewery pet peeves or something like specifically New York brewery, like maybe trends you don't like, or I don't know. Have you seen anything lately?
Um, I don't want to say there's anything that I dislike. I think everyone's
Yeah.
kind of doing their own thing, and I think that's cool. I think it's better than everybody doing the same exact thing. Um, I
Do
kind
you
of think,
do
what's
you think
up?
there's a lot of beer diversity in New York City?
I
Like,
do. I do.
yeah.
I think, yeah, yeah. I mean, think about the Gowanus area. You go there and there's so many breweries in a like 4 or 5 block radius that all do
Mm-hmm.
different things really well. And I think that's a great way to like describe how New York beer is. I think there's a lot of really good beer bars. I think there's a lot of breweries that have found a couple of things that they're really good at
Yeah.
and do those. And like I think it's good that like if they found their thing, but then they wanted to try something else, they're not afraid to try it. Um, I don't know. I think the whole point of making craft beer is to just experiment and try new things. Like if you're seeing that someone's doing this style, or you went on a trip to Germany and you went to this region of Germany and you want to try changing your Pilsner to taste like this. Like I think there's a lot, yeah, there's a lot of diversity, and I think now with like West Coast Pilsner becoming a thing, the East Coast is starting to like dip its toes into that. I think I don't know, where was I? Where was I going on that tangent? I feel like I had a bit and then I lost it. Yeah, I think there's a lot of diversity. I think everyone does a lot of things well, and I think it's cool when places try to start doing other things, and then whether it's good or bad the first time, you try it, then you go back, try it later, and you see something get better or something change. I think that's really interesting, and that's my favorite thing about drinking beer. Like I don't really, I'm not like a same beer kind of person. Like I know there are a lot of people out there that like their their things to be the same every time. And like I certainly think there is a market for consistency. I think that's a lot of what I learned in the Bronx was like brewing a beer the same way every time and like hitting your numbers the same way every time. And that's
Yeah.
definitely made me a better brewer. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's what I'm the most like interested in drinking. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like I think it's cool when you go to a brewery and like you liked this beer one time, you went back a couple months later and it's a little different. You're like, okay, like I think that's something that like the brewery that I probably idolize the most is Suarez Family, which I think is
Yeah.
there's a lot of people in New York City that will say the same thing. Um, but yeah, I think it's cool that like every time it's how transparent they are with what they're doing. Like every time he'll put out a beer, he'll be like, I changed this and this because I wanted it
Yeah.
to drink this way instead of this way. That is where I find the most interest in beer is like the transparency, the openness with what you're doing, and like the ability to keep like tweaking something. Like the recipe is never done. Like I
Yeah.
have probably, I don't know, I've brewed like 100, probably around 110 batches at Sound and Fury, and I want to say I've brewed maybe one beer the same way like four times, and that is really it.
Hmm.
They don't have to be big changes, but it's like, all right, like I wanna see if I like try these salts in this, like how
Yeah.
this is this time, or like I think the pH could use some adjusting pre knockout, and like I think that like that would make this beer drink better at the end of fermentation. And, like it's just I don't know. I think there's so much tweaking that should be done to beers, and like I think everybody is doing it whether you know it or not. Like
Yeah.
a lot, especially the breweries that have been around for a long time that have like core beers, and then you had it 6 years ago, and then you have it now, and you're like, I know, like I can't say for certain, but I know this isn't the beer that I was drinking 6 years ago, and it's still called
Hmm.
the same
Hmm.
thing, but like that's fine. Like you're allowed to change the recipe for a beer. You're allowed to like
Yeah.
make these tweaks, and like whether it's making it more modern or just making it a little different than what other people are doing. Like I think that's cool, and I'm here for that, and I do think New York City has a lot of that going on. Um, yeah, I'm a fan of what's happening here. I think it's awesome.
I 100% agree. I don't think I think about all the time maybe like leaving New York and going somewhere else to another brewery, but I don't think I can do it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I
it's
mean, I will say no shade to the East Coast. I like beer in
mm,
California more. I don't know what it is, but every time I go out there, it's just like the clean beers just hit harder. Maybe it's the weather, I don't know, but yeah,
I need to get out there.
I do think that like I think the West Coast is less afraid of change, and I mean they spearhead a lot of these like new styles or like new changes to styles, like specifically West Coast IPA. If you think about what West Coast IPA was 5 years ago versus what West Coast IPA is now,
Hmm.
there are definitely people that still love old West Coast IPA, and like I think it has a time and place, but I don't know, as someone who's had a lot of this new modern West Coast IPA, I'm really enjoying that. I think for me personally, it's a better drinking experience, and I think the East Coast is now starting to come around to that, which is cool. Um, I'm always asking, I mean, you too, like I'm always
Hmm.
asking questions. I'm always like I don't know. There's just always something to learn, whether it's annoying or not. It's just I don't know. That's
Yeah.
that's where my interest lies. Just talking beer, talking things, asking how or why you did something, and if you like it or what you would change, or I don't know. That's always where my mind is at when I'm like I don't think I could drink my beer without thinking about like 800 different things within that beer. Like it's like, all right, maybe I should do this or this or this, or oh, I like this batch better than this because I did this. Yeah, it kind of it makes the experience a little less fun, but I don't drink a lot of my own beer outside of work time, so
Hmm.
you know,
I feel you.
it would just drive me crazy. But no, I always whenever I can, I bring cans home, and I enjoy them, but I'm just like sitting there at home after work being like, oh man, like I could have done this time, or I did this last time, or oh, I think this batch is better, but like, what can I do to make this even better? Like, there's no, it's never finished. I'm never happy
Yeah.
with it.
I at next time I brew, I think I'm brewing a lager pretty soon. I'm gonna look back at my I did the same lager before. I think it's the Grand Danish Grand that we do.
Yeah, yeah,
And I'm like pulling up my fucking my brew sheets and everything, and I'm like, I'm gonna do a few things different, like trying to it's always a you know, there's always something you can change.
yeah.
I feel
No,
like there's
absolutely. Yeah, whether it's the salts or what your liquor to grist ratio is, or what your pre-boil pH, like there's so many. It's never
Mhm.
ending. The list just never ends.
Oh
But
man.
yeah, it is cool to like again, this goes back to me not working under a head brewer now, so like
Yeah.
figuring out a lot of these things for myself. Because like again, at Bronx, I learned like to follow these recipes and keep the beers within these parameters. But those are kind of
Yeah.
just like arbitrary numbers to me then. So I was just like, all right, like this is time, cool. But it didn't really help me understand the why. So now I've been experimenting a lot with the why. Like, why did this recipe have the knockout pH at 5.3 instead of
Yeah.
5.2? Or like, why was the mash temperature this high if it's supposed to finish at this like
Hmm.
all of these things. Like, I mean, that's a lesser, that one's a little more obvious, but I don't know. The pH thing is that the pH is the most interesting thing to me. Like yeah, it ruins my days. It makes my days. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I've had a love-hate relationship with pH going, like changing my grains a lot and trying to dial things in and see what works best with some grains and doesn't work with other ones. And it's yeah, when you change over all of your grains from one grain to another grain, and then beers start acting a different way in fermentation is it's cool because then you're like something different is
Yeah.
happening, but then you're like, okay, so like the thing I did before that I didn't like with that, now I've done that before and I didn't like it, but now that this is acting this way, I think I need to do that again. And it just goes back to being like, I'm kind of dragging my feet on doing some things because I'm like scared of it not
Yeah.
like, but yeah, that's, I don't know. It's cool to have the freedom to do all of that stuff. And like I don't think anything has been like bad. It's just like I obviously obsess over how things are in final form.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I'm drinking it being like, ah, what if that pH was 0.05 lower? It's like, and then I'll talk to Manny. He's like, what? I'm like, I don't know, man. I just and then it's like, all right, I'm gonna add acid to the fermenter post fermentation, and then I do it. I'm like, why did I do that? Now it like now it tastes weird. But like again, there's all these people online that are like, yeah, you get acid whenever, and I'm like, I've the few times that I've done it, I've been like, I'm never adding this to my fermenter again because like that beer again, it wasn't bad, but it was just like I did it to a Pilsner, and I'm pretty sure it affected like the bitterness and the clarity and like all of these things. I'm
Hmm.
like, I added like 15 milliliters of phosphoric acid to 7 barrels of beer. Like, that's, I don't know. I don't know,
Yeah.
man. Yeah,
Fine. Craft
yeah,
beer.
craft beer, baby. But yeah, that's also like it's cool to be a brew pub because all that stuff goes over like we're zero distribution, so everything is over the bar. I can a little bit. I have a little one head canning line that we have I think 7 brands in cans now.
Uh,
Um, but yeah, aside from canning, like I do like 4 or 5 cases at a time. It's really not a lot. I bought a pallet of cans over a year ago and I still have some. So that's what we're
Jeez.
looking like. Um, but yeah, it's cool to see all that stuff go over the bar because again,
Yeah.
back to Bronx, we brewed World Gone Hazy like 7 times a week, and that beer
Yep.
went to 50 different places, and I had no idea like which one was on draft in our tap room or what was in cans in our tap room. If I go to the grocery store, what batch is that? Like
Yeah.
it's nice to like actually be able to see a beer from start to finish, especially in those serving brights. Like
Hmm.
it is like I don't have enough space to like give things the luxury of lagering for like 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
If it's slow enough, I might be able to get like 2 weeks at lager temperature before it goes on draft. But it's like it's in a serving bright, so it's to me it's kind of like okay, for those first couple of weeks before it like really cleans up, it's kind of just like the Keller version of itself. And then like a couple weeks go by and you're like, that's looking pretty bright. And you try, you're like, yep, that's tasting a lot cleaner. It's really like maturing in a good way. And it's like, all right, now this is the lager version of this beer. And like, I don't know, maybe that's a weird way to look at it, but that's kind of the reality of the situation that I am in at my brewery of like yeah, can't really give these things the full time that they need sometimes, but they do sit in the
Uh,
gripe for like 4 to 6 weeks sometimes, like sometimes 7 weeks. So it's like, yeah, man, like that beer does go through that lagering phase. It's just also being served while it's
yeah,
doing that. So yeah, I don't know. The stakes are so not high that like I don't know, it doesn't matter to me with that kind of stuff. Like I'm sure there are people that are more anal than me or more
yeah.
protective over these things, but it's like this is just the reality of the situation of this space. It's like the beer's got to be on, and like I don't have the tank space for this. So like yeah, if it could sit 2 weeks cold before it goes into that bright, that's awesome. That's so much time to me.
All right. Well, I think that's a good spot to end it.
Yeah.
Bobby, thank you for joining me on here. Thank you for this conversation.
Thank
Um,
thanks for asking me. This was awesome.
yeah, no, I couldn't think of anyone better to ask, to be honest. So, um, uh, Bobby will be back next episode of this show as the host, having a conversation with a brewer of his choosing. That will air next week. So make sure you tune in for that. A reminder, visit allaboutbeer.com and follow on social media at allaboutbeer to support journalism in the beer space. Check out allaboutbeer.com/support. I'm Nick Flores. Thank you for listening to the Brewer to Brewer podcast.
If you were at CBC in Philadelphia, hopefully you stopped by the Senos booth or ran into them at their sponsored events around Philly. For everyone who missed it, Senos announced their latest hardware innovations. Senos is the world's first complete solution for data-driven fermentation management. Real-time, predictive insights directly from your tanks, within reach for every brewery. Catch issues early, save batches, and grow your margins. Brew smarter at Senos.com. That's SENNOS.com.
Tim here again from Berkeley Yeast. My favorite part about Tropics in a dried format is that it makes it easy to use Tropics more like an ingredient than a yeast strain. It's a great tool for turning tropical flavors up or down. Tropics on its own makes big notes of passionfruit and grapefruit, which is great for a lot of recipes, but sometimes you want to dial that thiol character down. Easy. You can just co-pitch at different rates with your house strain. If you want to dial it up, especially if you're using a pretty aggressive hop bill, then just add Tropics Boost. It's pure precursors dissolved in water and ethanol. Go to berkeleyyeast.com to find out how to turn the thiol dial to exactly where you want it.
Malt Europe has long been a pillar of North American malting, and they're growing to meet the needs of the modern brewer. Their brand new warehouse expansion at the Winona, Minnesota Malt House marks a new chapter in their commitment to service and reliability. With increased capacity and optimized logistics at the Winona hub, Malt Europe is delivering the quality you expect with the speed you need. Discover the Malt Europe difference at malteuropemaltingco.com.